What's going on, everybody? I'm back. Be your boy DJ Anonymous. I guess for another episode of Sports Biz Music, the podcast. Video wise, it's been a while since I did the last video. It's been about 2-3 months, I think. Yeah, about 2-3 months since I did the last video. But I'm trying to be consistent again. I just want to shout out to all the people who, at the time when I was doing the videos consistently. Shout out to y'all who supported, and shout out to my future supporters, because, that's why I'm waiting for more supporters. But today, I really wanted to record today because it's been on my mind for some years now. Probably since maybe since, like, I want to say my master's degree, when I was going for my master's heavily. Everybody, you all know I'm from Miami, born and raised. Been in Miami my whole life. And it's a thing that's been going on for the last few years in particular. There's this thing where they say that Miami is not the South and Miami is not Southern and this and that and the third, and everybody got their own opinions, everybody got their own platform and stuff, and I'm like, shoot, my platform is very, very small, but I want to use this time to, like, really engage in the conversation and also give my opinion, of where that fall. So growing up, as for everybody that knows it, especially you from down here, where you from Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, or whatever, y'all seen the growth of Miami, growth of Florida in general over the years, and it's a growing city, it's a growing state, and you can't deny it. And you know what a lot of people always say, if there ain't no Disney World, or if there ain't no Miami Beach or tourist spots, Florida will just be another Alabama or Georgia, but with swamps. Before I get to that point, growing up, I was the one who was always said that, Miami, especially particularly Miami, like, man, Miami gonna take over, we gonna be a big ass city. One day we gonna be bigger than New York, we'll be bigger than LA, we'll be bigger than a lot of cities, a lot of other towns and stuff, right? So that was me. Like, when I was probably, like, when I got into middle school, I was, like, very vocal with that. And, like, I used to be the one, sorry, y'all, I'm recovering from a cold too. And I used to be the one when I was younger. I was like, man, Miami, maybe on the map we the South, but we not the South. You know what I'm saying? That's when I was younger. But as I got older and I indulged in so many information from past, present, I'm like, nah, Miami's definitely the South. People gotta understand, it's two different parts of the South. Well, actually kind of three. You got the deep South, which is Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana, South Carolina, like them parts, right? Then you got the regular South with the Carolinas, Kentucky, Texas, Arkansas. Some people consider Missouri the South, and as I got older, even with that, I'm like, yeah, I could consider Missouri, especially southern Missouri, the South. Then you got the up north, they call it up south with Virginia, and hey, even people from DC and certain people in Baltimore, they want to consider themselves the South, but like, if you look at the map, technically they are, cause they under the Dixie line. But like when for example, I went to Maryland 1 year because my wife graduated from Johns Hopkins, and like I was hearing the accent, and I'm like, I can hear East Coast, but certain people had like a Southern dialect, especially outside the city. So, some people consider themselves the South, in them states or whatever. Especially DC. Like I asked like a lot of DC people, and they'll say they could consider themselves Southern, but they more like, up south, or like some of them, the DMV consider, like, they like to say they the mid-east or mid-Atlantic or whatever. But to me, it's a lot of Southern influence, in that area. But that's a whole another topic to discuss in the future. But anyway, when you look at the history of Miami, first of all, when slavery ended, a lot of free slaves came down here to Florida, from North Florida on down to South Florida, especially down here to South Florida. And if it wasn't for the free slaves, but also, because I'm also half Bahamian, if it wasn't for the Bahamians as well, it wouldn't be no Miami. It wouldn't be, like, people forget about that. Like, shout out to all my Spaniards and all of them, and my Native Americans, and they would trust me. The Native Americans was here first, but there were black people that was here like centuries, especially like the ones from the Caribbean. But that's another whole discussion, another whole video. But long story short, if it wasn't for the African Americans, the free slaves, and the Bahamians, it wouldn't be no Miami. Miami wouldn't even be incorporated. It wouldn't be a lot of towns within Dade County. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like when I worked at different jobs and go to different places. Like for example, I worked in Boys and Girls Club of Broward County. It was up in Deerfield. And mind you, Deerfield is a very Deerfield, Pompano, places like that kind of reminds you of South Florida as a whole is still the South. Because on one part, you have black folks, and another part, you got the white folks and stuff. But anyway, when I was working there, and I used to tell people I was from Miami, they're like, man, it's more culture down there. I'm like, what you mean about that? And it was my one of my managers at the time, and he was like, y'all just more cultured down there. Like, people don't understand. Like, it's a lot of Spanish people down there, but y'all representative of African American and just black people in general. It's very cultural, because people think of Miami, they think of one thing, Hispanics, but that's not true. You also got the African Americans, you got the Bahamians, you got the Jamaicans, you got the Haitians, you got the Trinidadians, you got the black Puerto Ricans, the black Cubans. Like, you got all these people. That's why they call Miami the melting pot. And as you get older, as you started to mature, your mind started to develop more, your brain started to develop more, and you start to want to do more research. And me, of course, getting my master's degree and just going to college in general, I was always researching. Like, even right now, I'm going for my doctorate, and I'm always researching on things, even things outside of my practice, my studies. But one day I was just not snap, but I was telling my wife, I was telling people close to me, I'm like, Miami is the South. Like, Miami is literally the South. It may not be like the deep South, because the deep South I consider, even North Florida, like, it's country, or that's why I say it's levels, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between being Southern and country. Like, you know, country is like, it's country, and it's weird because growing up, you know, me, when I used to DJ a lot and I used to network with different people, especially people from up north, they be like, bro, you sound country as fuck. And I'm like, man, I'm not country, I'm from Miami, but at the time I wasn't open-minded and I was ignorant, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, for fast forward, you know, I did my research. I watched this documentary called The Black Miami. Y'all have to watch that. It's on Amazon. It used to be free, but I think it costs like $5 now or something like that. But it literally tells you the whole story of Miami and the Black Miami, and like how, like, pretty much we started building this city. We started building this whole region, not just Miami, but like South Florida, pretty much the whole state. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of history that people try to erase or they don't want to talk about when it comes to Florida, especially down here in South Florida, because like I said earlier, it's a stigma of like, oh, South Florida's not the South, it's the North, it's this and that. People gotta understand, we got a lot of transplants all over Florida, but especially down here in South Florida. We got Canadians, we got people from like New York and Boston and all that. And then you got, you know, especially when COVID came, you had people from like coming from like Cali, coming from like the Midwest a lot, and like we became one of them cities where it was really like a transplant city. Not as bad like as like, for example, Atlanta. Atlanta's like, it's ridiculous right now, but like, you gotta understand, like, it's a melting pot. So like, when I tell people, like, when you come to Miami, make sure you go to all the parks. Don't just go to South Beach, because South Beach don't define us. Yeah, there's some history there, which is not, well, majority of history is kind of negative, but it don't define us, you know what I'm saying? You gotta go to places like Carol City, Opa-locka, you know, Miami Gardens. You gotta go to Overtown, you gotta go to Liberty City, you gotta go to Little Haiti, you gotta go to Little Havana, you gotta go to, you know, Hialeah, you gotta go to places like, you know, Richmond Heights, Piran, you know, Florida City, Homestead. Like, you gotta go places like Coconut Grove, you know what I'm saying? Like the Grove, that's what we call. You gotta go to places like, you know, even North Beach, you know, instead of South Beach, go to North Beach. What else? It's a lot of places. North Shore, like, you gotta go to certain places, Wynwood, you gotta go to certain places where it's the culture, the real culture of Miami. You know, not these commercial places like South Beach and Aventura. We even go up to Broward, Fort Lauderdale and all that. And Broward, you gotta go to places like Carvin Ranches, Pompano, Deerfield, Lauderhill, you know what I'm saying, Lauderdale. You gotta go to places like East Miramar. You gotta go to places like East Hollywood, you know, certain parts of Hollandale, you know what I'm saying? You know, even in Palm Beach, you gotta go to places like, you know, Lake Worth, you gotta go to Belle Glade, Pahokee, especially them two, Belle Glade and Pahokee. You gotta, it's just certain places down here in South Florida that people have to come and like really open their eyes and really know the history, because for me, I hate the stigma. Like, when I was younger, like I said, I always thought, like, at one point that, man, we like, you know, we like New Yorkers and stuff. No, we not. We not. We our own flavor, like. And it's another video I want to talk about, like, how people say, like, down here, how like Miami and South Florida is fast. To me, it's not, but that's another video. Only reason why I say that is because I've been to other places. Like, DC is faster than us, LA is faster than us. I've never been to New New York, but of course New York got to be way faster than this. But even to a point, because of they transportation and how organized it is, Atlanta to me is a bit more faster paced than down here. Like, I just think that us as people from South Florida, we always been the underdog. So like we always gotta think fast, especially like if you're in the music industry. I want to really talk about this in another video, but really reason why I say like Miami is the South, because we don't have the record labels. Like, we don't have the Def Jams, we don't have the Geffins, we don't have the Interscope, we don't have, you know, the iHeart radio station. We don't really have, we have radio stations, but not like New York was the media baby of it's like the media capital of the world. Or like LA when they like the entertainment of the world. Like, you don't have that. Even certain cities in Texas, like Austin and all that, like Austin's very techy. Miami was supposed to be like that, but you know, politics, like I said, y'all bear with me. I'm gonna make videos, you know, slowly but surely about just different things that's been on my mind. But this video I had to really make because it's like, I'm from here. Like, my family been here since like the late 1800s. Whether my family that's from the Bahamas or my family that's from Georgia, you know, South Carolina, you know. So it's just like, I've been here, you know what I'm saying? And like, there's other families that's been here for years, especially in the black community, and also even in the Hispanic community. Like, shout out to the Puerto Ricans, they been here. Shout out to the Dominicans, they been here, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's certain cultures that's already been here. Like, you know, even Haitians, like Haitians was already here. You know, majority started to come in the 70s and 80s, but they was already here. You know, people's got, it's a lot of history down here in Miami, but Miami is the South. If you listen to our dialect, like for example, I tell people this all the time. I could tell a Southern Haitian from a Northern Haitian. I could tell from a Cuban from down here from a Cuban from up north. It's a different dialect. It's not the same thing. Like, it's a different dialect. Like, my wife, she Dominican. She was born in New York. She moved down here when she was like 6 or 7 years old. She still had that New York accent. But Dominican that's from here, born and raised, is a whole different, like, it's a whole different type of dialect, you know what I'm saying? And people also gotta understand too, like, and that's another thing. Like, when I was coming up, I didn't know I had an accent until, you know, like I told y'all, when I started DJing, started networking with different people from different states and stuff, I had an accent. Like, you know, when I talk to people from up north, they're like, yeah, bro, you sound country as fuck. You sound like you from like Texas or somewhere. Like, and like, you know, we use different phrases like jit and all that. Like, people be like, yeah, you from Miami, y'all kind of country down there. Like, y'all Southern. Like, and I be telling people also too, when you think of Miami, you got the city of Miami, you got downtown, Brickell and all that. Like, Brickell, I could say that's like the baby New York in a way, but even Brickell is like, I've been to LA, bro. Like, that shit, LA is a whole different beast compared to Miami, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can give y'all, like, it's a whole, but I know I'm everywhere, but it's just like, this been on my mind for years. Like, and I spoke on it on my podcast, my last episodes with a few people, especially people from down here. And I'm talking about people from all different types of walks of life, like black, Jewish, Hispanic, you know what I'm saying, white. Like, they would tell you, they're like, yes, Miami, like, it's the South. They're like, they don't know where we get that stigma from. It's not our fault that you know, we very diverse down here, which we are, but like, you have all these people from down here, they stay down here for years, they pick up the dialect, they pick up the accent, you know what I'm saying? And like I said before, there are certain parts that you have to really go to and indulge and really see the culture, because we do have a culture, we do have tradition. And shout out to what's the name of the comedian? Shoot, I forgot his name, but I watch him all the time. And I remember he had a video saying that Florida in the whole is not the South, and I'm like, bro, you really tripping. Like, I just feel like people been reaching. Like, I feel like it's weird. It be like your own people too. Like, it be people from here. And I'm like, oh, we not the South, but like people in their own region. But like, when you go to other places, like especially outside the South, they're like, nah, y'all Southern. Like, this is how I tell people about Miami. And this is one of the last things I'm gonna talk about. Miami is a place where it's a bridge. Miami is a tweener city. It's a major city, but at the same time, it's a place where even within the city, within the county, one day you be in the city, you be in a fast-paced environment. The next day you be on the beach just vibing. Another day you be in the hood, you know, getting some food from the best barbecuer man in the world or whatever. People selling cunt. Or you be on the other side in the country, you know, in the redlands and the farming land, you know, picking up oranges. Like, for example, it's too like for me, this is my experience. When y'all out of towners, when y'all come down here to Florida, I want y'all to take the turnpike. Go all the way down to exit 1, but before you go to exit 1, look at your surroundings. I kid you not. This was recent. This was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I was working at a company at the time, my god sister company, so I like deliver food and stuff, right? And I'm like, I've seen cotton fields before, cause like, you know, going to Georgia and all that stuff. Going through like Florida and everything, you know what I'm saying? But it was my first time seeing a cotton field like in Dade, in Miami, like. But you know, down south, what we call it down south is like country down there. And there was cotton fields. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this actual cotton. Like maybe I seen it when I was younger, but I don't remember. But I'm like, I'm grown. I'm like, what the hell is cotton fields? And then like, it sparked me. I'm like, bruh, you can't get no southern than this. So I'm like, you know, it's pros and cons of like examples of like Miami being the South. And I'm like, damn, we got cotton, like it's cotton fields down here. 2, people don't believe me, but my first time seeing a Confederate flag was down here in Miami. In Hialeah, exactly. So one day, I think I was in the car with my mom, or I was by myself. And I seen this white van. It was close to my grandparents' old neighborhood. And you know, I don't know if they do it up in any other state, but down here, you have a regular tag, and then you have like a tag in the front where, you know, like a tag on the bumper where, you know, like most of the time that's like just to represent like where you from, or like if you, let's say you graduated from UM or FIU or something, you have a tag in the front bumper and stuff, and it's like a thing down here. I never really seen it nowhere else, but down here, people do it. So I seen this white van, and at first I thought it was like the Florida, you know, the Florida like state flag. But I squint, I'm like, is that a Confederate flag? And I had to go around. I said, yeah, it was faded, but that shit was a Confederate flag. Like, I'm like, bro, like, I be telling people, I'm like, dog, the good and the bad, like, Miami is the South, man. Like, people don't understand, too, like, the history of Miami. Miami is built on segregation. Like, y'all have to watch the Black Miami. That tell you everything. You gonna open up your eyes, you be like, Miami's the South. The problem is, people don't want to acknowledge that, because it's like, if you come down here, right? Come down here to Miami. One thing you know how like you have the Bible Belt, when you go to like North Florida and everything, when you go to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Mississippi, Georgia, Bama, Texas, and all that, Arkansas, you always see churches, right? When I was growing up, especially in the inner city, it was churches everywhere. Churches on every corner. So, y'all pay attention, like, especially y'all tourists. When you come down here, you're going to see a lot of churches. Like, I'm like, that's another example of, like, hey, this Miami, like, South Florida in general is the South. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, at my current job, it was this girl, she was from Arkansas, and she was like, she went past this place. I know Davie, but she's like, I went past this place called Davie, and they sound like they from Arkansas. So I said, yeah, it's South Florida's diverse. South Florida is the. I be telling, like, I said, South Florida, like, when people, it's this thing, people say, like, oh, we not Southern. We are Southern. You gonna hear, like, I want to say 75% of the time, you gonna hear people accent. You gonna be like, yeah, y'all kind of Southern down here, cause we are. Like, it's a lot of history down here. It's a lot of, like, it's. I don't know, man. I had to really talk about this because it's ridiculous. Like, it's like a stigma that need to end. Like, and I was one of them people. Like I said, when I was coming up, I was like, man, Miami ain't no down South. We just located in the South. But, like, when you grow up and when you start going to different spots and different places within the city, as you grow, as you drive on your own, and then I'm like, and I think about it too, my family, like, even though it's a connection, because, they from Georgia and stuff, and on my dad's side, they from Live Oak, Florida and all that, but, like, even then, like, still, like, it's still there, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't never left, you know what I'm saying? Like, other families, like, outside of my family and stuff like that, like, it's a dialogue. Like, we may, like, compare to a person from Bama, we gonna call them country. But if we be by like a New Yorker or, someone from Boston or something or LA. Like, matter of fact, when I went to LA, when people when I started talking to people, they're like, yeah, you from the South, bro. Like, you can't fool us. You know what I'm saying? And I just want people to embrace it, man. Like, I'm gonna keep talking about this because I just hate, like, when people say, oh, we not Southern because, oh, we don't drink sweet tea. We do drink sweet tea, but down here, especially in Miami, we call, you know how people got Arnold Palmer? We call it the flop. Flop is either the sweet tea with the sweet tea with the lemonade, or you can mix it with 3 or 4 flavors. Like me, I like sweet tea, lemonade, fruit punch. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's like the flop. Like, that's like, you know how, like, in the DMV, they got like the what they call it, the go-go, what they call it, the sauce. What's the name of the sauce? I think it's go-go sauce or something like that. I can't remember. But shout out to DMV and even Chicago, because I heard Chicago was the originals. But our drink, especially in Miami, y'all next time y'all come down here, I would recommend the 3 flavors: the lemonade, the sweet tea, and the fruit punch. And we just different from everybody, bro. We still Southern, man. Like we say y'all, we don't say you alls. Like we say y'all. Like it's the same thing. And then like what also got me too was, shout out to James Winston. But like I remember on Hard Knocks, he was like, "Oh, Miami's just Chicago with beaches." And I'm like, that's just coming from someone who didn't really indulge in Miami. Like, they didn't go to different parts. You know what I'm saying? Like, people just think, when they think of Miami, they think of South Beach, and they think of Brickell. Or, like, if not that, they'll probably think about Aventura. Broward, they think about Fort Lauderdale. You know, Palm Beach, they think about West Palm Beach, you know? Or Boca. But it's a whole bunch of different parts down here that y'all have to really go to and endure and embrace, like, to get the culture of Miami, to get the culture of South Florida. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna make another video. The next video gonna be about the so-called thing about it's so-called fast down here and everything. Not saying we not fast, but I tell people this all the time. There are periods where you're gonna have our traffic. We may be a bit fast, but after 9:30, 10 o'clock, especially on a weekday, man, it's smooth. Like I gotta tell people, I went to LA traffic is real. That it could be 12 midnight and the traffic is ridiculous. Like you know, but we gonna talk more about that. This be your boy DJ Anonymous with another episode of Sports Biz Music. I promise y'all I'm gonna be more consistent. I'll probably do that next video next. It's a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about, like opinions on a lot of stuff, even politics. I don't even want to talk about politics, but I may have to because the climate that we in. But yeah, man, we're gonna have more Miami talk, more history, more everything. But this been your boy. I'm out. Peace.